It is.
Well, that goes with this joy thing.
Yes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really, really does. Wonderful. Ah, I need my gadgets. We've become so gadget dependent.
Excuse me, Michael, there's a switch.
Ah, thank you.
That's probably why it's not.
Ah, perfect. Yay, yay. Oh, my beloveds, what a grand, glorious day it is. We are back in the sanctuary after a tumultuous journey through the valley. The title of my talk is How to Be Joyous and Happy. Joy as a spiritual discipline and spiritual principle, because God is joy. So we have been on a collective journey through a valley experience. This is what the last few years of this pandemic have been about. So the scripture is, even though I walk through the valley of shadows, of sorrow, of fear, of loss, of dis-ease, of financial distress, I shall not fear, for God, Elohim, is with me. Jehovah Jireh, God shall provide, is with me. The great Creator, the Father, Mother God, is with me. So, my beloveds, you know that I am a student of numerology. I will attempt to them. And I thought back to the numbers, the universal numerological themes of the last few years. So in 2020, or let me remind us, I'm reminding myself, COVID-19, when you take the numbers and the letters, reduced to a 9. 9 is the number of transformation. Pardon me, I turned off my phone. So COVID has called us to transform. Pardon me. COVID has called us to spiritually be reborn again by the renewing of our minds. So collectively on the planet, we were called to transformation. And with a 9 number, you must release. There was a collective and individual releasing of that which didn't serve us, or even releasing people, places, and things. It was a call to a great spiritual awakening. And it's exactly what has happened. 2020 really had reduced to 40 or 4. And 4 is the number of foundations. So our foundation was rocked. So where were we at home? In God, in Mammon, in the material world, or in the spiritual world? How were we going to root ourselves? Where were we building our foundation? In the world or in God? That was the true question. And it was so fascinating that we were all shut away in our homes. We had to look at, where were we at home? Where had we built our foundation? That was the spiritual universal question. 2021 added up to a 5. It reduced to 5. 5 was the number of cataclysmic change. And weren't there changes? On January 6th of 2021, we experienced something in American democracy that we had never seen before. There were lots of changes. There was BLM protests all over the world. Things were shaken up. It was tumultuous. And incidentally, there were more earthquakes reported in 2021 than ever before.
Wow.
Gaia, Mother Earth, was quaking, shifting and moving, changing. Our landscape, our inner landscape, our outer landscape, our democracy, our world was experiencing tumultuous change. And that was the universal number for 2021, 5. And now we are in 2022, and this is the year of the 6. The 6 vibration is the universal message of keeping the faith. Will you have unwavering faith in everything, regardless of the circumstances? Thank you. Regardless of what's happening in your body, regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of what's happening in your finances. And as we arrive to the 9th month, September, which is the number 9, reminding us that we must recommit to our spiritual awakening. The message I have been receiving from Spirit is that we must embrace joy as a spiritual discipline in the midst of having unwavering faith. Because the broadcast from the world right now is one of gloom and doom. There is so much infighting, I can't listen to it. There is a rise in all the isms, women's rights. Like I've told you, I'm both pro-choice and pro-life. It is a divine life that is being created, and I believe that the person who is carrying that life may have a choice regarding their responsibility. So we've been on this collective journey through a valley experience. And so I thought to myself, okay, God, joy, it seems so it just seems so Pollyanna. It seems so not superficial, but almost lacking in a deeper awareness of what we've all been through. But this is a joy that the world did not give us, and therefore the world cannot take away. This is spiritual joy. The Bible has more than 90 references to joy. It tells us, let the hills sing with joy. Psalm 98, verse 8. Everlasting joy shall be upon their heads. Isaiah chapter 35, verse 10. You shall have joy and gladness. Luke chapter 1, verse 14. That my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be in all. John chapter 15, verse 11. The Bhagavad Gita tells us that when one understands the personality of the Godhead, one becomes transcendental in bliss and in joy. Thank you. You are wonderful. Plato, in Western philosophy, says to us that we should be identified with happiness and joy, because this will lead us to spiritual well-being. Emerson says the way of life is wonderful. It is joy. And many of the Buddhist masters have told us to ponder joy, happiness, and bliss, that these release the channels of inner life. And the Buddha is quoted as saying, the joy of myself irradiates my life and lightens all burdens which I meet and carry. So all sacred texts are telling us to practice the discipline of joy, to live joyously. So I just love quotes, and I felt that this was the context. One of just matched the context. This is from Hasif of Persia. I wish I could show you when you are in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. So my beloveds, we are beautiful light beings that must not allow the weariness of life to steal our joy. The metaphysical meaning of joy from the Truth Unity Metaphysical Bible that was created and written by Charles Fillmore. Joy, the happiness of God expressed through his perfect idea, man, woman, sentient being. Joy and gladness are strength, especially giving the mind that are fixed on the things of the Spirit. We must affirm daily, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Let's know this together. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. So joy has healing power. Having joy includes feelings of good cheer and vibrates with happiness. But joy in its fuller spiritual meaning is expressing God's goodness in the here and now. It is a deep-rooted, inspired happiness. Because the Bible reminds us the joy of the Lord is your strength. So the joy I'm talking about, the world can't give it to you. The world can't take it away. This is a joy that we choose to live in, to abide in, no matter what. Easier said than done, my beloveds. But in this 9th month of a 2022 year, where we have repeating twos, this universal number that is telling us to hold on to our faith, to embody unwavering faith. We can continue with this spiritual discipline by embodying the frequency of joy. So this is a beautiful scripture, and I remind us that we are metaphysicians. This is a New Thought community. We interpret our Bible metaphysically. It is the journey of the soul in Adam and Eve to the awakening of Christ consciousness, God consciousness, Buddha consciousness in the resurrection of Jesus the Christ. It is an allegory, a journey of the soul. So in James, Chapter 1, verse 2, this is a key to this principle. Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Consider it pure joy that whenever you are facing trials, my beloveds, of any kind, that you know that it is a testing of your faith and it develops perseverance. So it is an opportunity, this walk through the valley of the shadows that we have experienced collectively is an opportunity to cultivate great joy. Wow, who knew that? Who knew it doesn't feel that way? It doesn't feel that way when we think about how we were unable to hug each other and be in each other's presence. It felt as though something had been taken away from us, these limitations, these restrictions, the loss of loved ones, the tumult on the planet. It didn't seem like something that was joyful. But when we face these trials, consider it pure joy, because we are developing spiritual perseverance. So my beloveds, joy is a choice that a person has to intentionally make. You can choose joy even in the midst of your trials. You can choose joy when you are literally in the valley of the sorrows. Remember, you can choose joy or you can choose sorrow. And my beloveds, there is a time for joy and there is a time for sorrow. This is not a denial or a spiritual bypass of the struggles that you may be facing in your life or that we have faced together collectively. We accept reality on the planet, but we hold true to the truth, the divine spiritual laws of the universe. And joy is a spiritual law. Joy strengthens us. When we dance and sing and praise, regardless of circumstances, we are then elevated and strengthened and empowered to move forward through whatever valley we are walking through. In this world, there will be trials and tribulations, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. The greatest guru, Jesus the Christ, tells us this. So what is the definition of joy? Well, Webster's tells us that joy is cheerfulness. They're synonymous, they're synonyms. Good cheer, be cheerful. Joy and cheer are optimism, confidence, happiness, cheeriness, gladness, mirth. I love that word. Jubilation, hope, and merriment. So when Jesus, the greatest guru and master teacher, tells us to be of good cheer, he is giving us insight on a spiritual principle that will help us overcome the challenges of life, the crosses that we might be bearing at this time. Charles Fillmore reminds us in his book, Healing, The Healing Power of Joy, all healing systems recognize joy as a beneficent factor in the restoration of health. The joy of Jehovah is your strength. This statement is based on a principle recognized by all who help to bring about strength of mind and health of body. Joy is a healing power. So I love steps. I love talking about steps that we can apply. But before I talk about this, I don't want to go on too much longer, but I really want to talk about myself and how all of you know that I got in my way for many, many years. About 15 years ago, I returned from being on tour in France with a very, very famous singer, Véronique Sanson. And Véronique Sanson is kind of like an Elton John of France. She's still extremely successful and famous, a wonderful pianist, singer, songwriter. So I had spent about 10 months touring all of France, Belgium, and Switzerland. And at the end of the tour, I had to come back to Boston. I had an opportunity to stay in Paris and pursue backup singing, but out of fear and not being in the vibration of joy, I came back to the States. And when I returned, I got extremely depressed. But my beloveds, it was an inner choice. I chose to abide in a vibration of sadness because I was comparing Boston to Paris, which is utterly ridiculous because each place has its beauty and its gifts. But as I compared, I'm not in Paris, and I began to send out a vibration, a corresponding vibration of poverty consciousness, of lack consciousness, of sorrow, of depression, of anxiety. I was acting as though the sun didn't shine in Boston, or that flowers didn't bloom in Boston, or I couldn't get a breath of oxygen in Boston, that God's good was not present here. Because God's good is present within your consciousness. and then mirrors out into the world. So I had cast a dark vibration onto my life. And so, of course, from that point on, I suffered from depression. I couldn't keep jobs. My relationships were iffy. Who wanted to be around me? I was sending out a broadcast of fear, doubt, and worry, and such a lack of gratitude. I had spent 10 months touring with one of the most successful artists on the planet. I could have come back to Boston and said, I'm going to make a great career out of singing, hang out in New York, do this and that. But my consciousness was my Achilles heel, and I was not abiding in a vibration of joy. Thank goodness, thank God, with every breath in my body, that there was always a Unity Church in my vicinity. And as I sat in the Unity Church, Unity in the City, Longwood Unity, Somerville Unity, I began to realize that nothing was wrong with my life, but what I had created in my consciousness. I had created a reality of lack. I had created a reality of depression. I had created a reality of it's not good enough. There's something wrong here. And as I began to change my thinking, my life, my internal life began to change because I chose to abide in a vibration of joy. So I would actually, since I'm a vocalist, I would sing the word joy. I got so sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself that I said, okay, I'm going to start with basics. So I would sing joy, 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 joy. I have joy. And I would sing it around my house, and I would sing it as I was walking through the streets, and people would look at me, and I thought, that's right, I'm crazy. I'm trying to change my mind. I'm out of my mind, and I'm trying to root my mind and ground my mind in the spiritual principles that are true yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Because, my beloveds, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So many years later, I went back to Paris. I was visiting. I connected with my friends, my musician friends who I'd been on tour with. And as the universe would have it, and I think some of you know, but my first day there, I'm taking the metro to whatever destination, and there's no metro. The metro has stopped. There are ambulances all over Paris going to metro stops. Apparently, very sadly, a woman had jumped into the train pit into an incoming train and committed suicide. I knew at that moment that that message was for me. I knew it. And I thought, for someone else, Paris, their life was a living hell. I had made Paris into this utopia. So when I came back to Boston, I could not find joy. I could not find peace and harmony. But Spirit was showing me that we live our lives from the inside out. That location, my best friend is a minister at Agape, Reverend Arlene Hilton. And she always says, locations are a preference. You can have a preference. You can say, I love being in LA. I like the warm weather. I don't want to be in New England in the cold. But make it a preference. Don't make it life or death. Do not base your happiness, your joy, in the circumstances, in the location, in the experiences, in the bank account, in the relationship. They can be preferences. I prefer to be happily married to this person. But they are not our joy. God is our joy, and our joy is found within us and not outside. Thank goodness I learned this, and I didn't have to learn it at 98. Because I'm hard-headed, it takes me a while. So, the 10 steps to mastering the art of joyful living. My beloveds, remember nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So you're like, Martine, how can that be true? There are killings, there are isms, there are issues. We are not denying reality, my beloveds. We are anchoring ourselves in spiritual truths. So the spiritual truth of the cosmos is that nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So know that. So let's return to sanity. Sanity is a return to living joyfully. So living joyfully takes commitment. It asks us to be awake and aware in the moments of our lives. My beloveds, when I came back from Paris, I was asleep. I was asleep. Instead of being in great gratitude for what I had experienced, I was all gloom and doom. So now I am awake. When I fall asleep, I remember and I awaken to the truth that I can live joyously no matter what. So 1, be of good cheer no matter the circumstances. 2, consider it joy when you face trials, knowing that it develops your inner perseverance. Once again, the world would say, no way. When you're going through trials, maybe pick up a gun or drugs or alcohol or shop. But the universal truth is that consider it joy when you face trials, because you are developing your spiritual character. So 3, know that joy is a spiritual principle and discipline. Choose to practice it daily. Say affirmations to raise your consciousness. They work. 4, stop seeing yourself as too old or that it's too late. Renew your mindset and change your life. This is God's call for us to live in joy. Because when you're saying you're too old and it's too impossible and you're in regret, you are not vibrating in the frequency of joy. 5, know that there is something holy, spiritual, and sacred about being happy and joyous. Be in this higher frequency. It's a spiritual principle. You're abiding in something greater than yourself. 6, know that the power of joy is healing. If you desire more health and wholeness, start laughing more. Sing, dance, pray, play, meditate, move your body. Be joyful. 7, be childlike, not childish. Children are still connected to the vibration of joy. Jesus, the greatest guru, tells us, truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Be childlike, not childish. 8, look for the magic in life. The universe is grand, beautiful, and mysterious. Celebrate life. It is miraculous. And if you really want a dose of joy, watch near-death experiences on YouTube. They will inspire you to know that life is eternal and that we are loved by God and safe. They are so amazing. I get so joyful. This life goes on and there's so much magic in the cosmos. 10, continue to choose joy in our collective valley experience and in your own life. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. And P.S., forgive yourself, forgive others, and release that regret, because that will kill the vibration of joy. So my beloveds, we've gone through a valley experience. This is the year to have unwavering faith and joy, and remember the spiritual truth. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy always comes in the morning. And so it is. Amen.